Alright, welcome back nerds and turds to another live stream repair. We've of course got a couple of HomePods that have shown up in the mail that need to get fixed up, so we're going to try to knock a few out today. First one up comes from Sean. Let's find their email and let them know we're getting started on theirs right now. Let's see. Yes, that's them. So, what's wrong with their pod? It looks like HomePod that death farts. I attempted to repair it myself, but while removing the top plastic, I cut the ribbon cable to the upper buttons. Okay, so we've got probably some typical DC offset repairs to deal with here, in addition to a little bit of a oopsie to fix up that it sounds like they broke probably the ribbon cable that connects the logic board to the display. We've got plenty of those, so that shouldn't be a big deal. Probably won't charge them anything extra to replace that cable if it's the one that I'm thinking of. Where's my knife? And one last thing, need to let the Discord nerds know that we are streaming okay. We are ready to get started. Yep, okay, we've got a note in here with pretty much the same description from the email. And we've got a HomePod. So we're not going to try plugging this in and checking for symptoms yet, because we know that they already tried taking it apart and damaged some parts, so we don't want to plug that in and cause any more problems. Let's get this off. I see. So right here, this seems to happen somewhat often for people their first try. I really need to add this to the website. But basically, when people are prying this first layer off, they end up quite often accidentally prying this plastic up with it. And you want to keep these this plastic and this display part here in one piece as you're taking everything apart. The reason being, right here is the ambient light sensor. And there's the little ambient light sensor right there. It's already been broken off. But no big deal if you end up breaking your ambient light sensor off. You're just not going to have automatic brightness. So whenever the display is on, it's just going to be at full brightness. Not the end of the world, and for most people, it's alright. Okay. Let's separate these. And let's get this display off. I don't really like the look of that screw, so we're just gonna chuck that one, replace it. I don't really like the look of that one either, so Alright, display came right out. And I don't actually... don't see any problems with the cable here. At least not right here. So... let's just clear that off really quick. And then we can stick this back together. Then this can go back on. And then we'll give them the option, $10, and we will we'll replace their display here with another one that's not been doozied with and fully functioning. Or they can use the one that they've got here. It's more than likely going to continue working just fine. It'll just not have automatic brightness. So I like to give people those options, especially when the part that they've got works fine for day-to-day use, and it might have some compromise in functionality that may or may not be important to them. Let's get this frame and logic board out. Let's try to find what cable it is that they're talking about that they cut. Because so far I don't see I don't see any cut cables yet. Yeah, there's a few. Of course, there's a few, so we'll see when we get a little deeper in here. Okay, so that looks okay. No problems there. So I'm assuming, oh, yep, there it is. So these are unfortunately a little harder to come by. As you can imagine, people tend to break these ones. So I will have to ding you a few points, but I do have a few that we can replace it with. And I think, depending, if this mesh is in better condition, I might just replace the whole body for you without dealing with taking a black mesh off just to put the same exact one back on, you know? Yeah, and your layers up here are starting to separate a little bit, so we'll just go ahead and give you a different black body, since I've got a couple of these around in good condition. And that way we won't have to bother with ripping the cable out and replacing it. Which can be quite the hassle. We'll see. We'll see what we actually feel like doing. So let's just drip some rubbing alcohol in there, so that way when we go to pry this up, it'll be a lot easier. Unless you already took this off, then Oh, also forgot to say, welcome to the stream. Glad you could make it with us here, Sean. Oh. Okay, that's just gonna come right off, no big deal. It kind of looks like... It almost looks like your subwoofer's like sitting up too high. Maybe you've got one of the gasket rings not fully down, which is why this wasn't sitting fully in the HomePod. Let's find out. Looks like we're gonna need to replace this, which I've got plenty of these, so again, no big deal, but we've got some cracks in this. It's one of those things that like probably would be totally fine if we reused it, but I do have more than enough of these that I'd rather just replace this. So next, let's pull this woofer out and see what it looks like. Especially with death farts, loud popping, DC offset issues like that affect the bass speaker. You want to take a close look at it and make sure that it's still in good condition, that it hasn't been put through too much torture. And here, if we look real close, inside of our inspection port, we've got a healthy looking voice coil, no strange sounds or textures actuating it, and of course, smells great. So we've got a happy looking little woofer there. Oh, I see what's going on. Yeah, so I'm assuming you probably just threw this back together for the sake of getting it to me, but it looks like, just for anybody watching who's curious why the things weren't lining up right, looks like we just don't have the lower rings here lined up quite correctly. It can be pretty tricky to line these up right. Alright, let's see if we can get this out of here. Feels a little stuck. Alright. Let me at him. What is that catching on? Interesting. Alright, close your eyes, folks. Oh. Yeah, that's not coming out. Yeah, you were gonna need a new shell. That's for sure. If we can't get this ring out, we can't get the we can get the power supply out, but we won't be able to get the amp out. How did you get stuck in there? Jeff, welcome, my guy. Long time no chat. Well, I haven't seen or heard much anything on the second gens as far as anybody needing repairs. I presume most people that would need to get them repaired are just going straight through Apple for warranty work. And I haven't had anybody reaching out to me with any issues with their second gens yet. Nor have I personally had any issues with any of my second gens yet. So, good question though. Alright, what do we got going on here? What's that locking up on? we might have to get pretty violent with this. Let's see. We're just gonna 1-2 skiddly-doo. Try to break this ring here. Sacrifice it. We've got, again, the theme for today may just be I've got plenty of these, so I'm not worried about it. There we go. Woo! Not bad, not bad. Didn't hurt anything on the way out. Got some sticky stuff over there. I thought it was something else. Okay. So we can reuse the subwoofer and his gaskets and his logic board display, amp, power supply, and we'll take this one. No, this one doesn't look very good. Let me go grab another one. Here we go. So I've got another black shell here that's in excellent condition. It's not absolutely mint perfect condition, but as you can see here, it's a little better than this one. So I think that will be fine for them. But it's already got a good ribbon cable in there. So what we'll do, and it's got the top plastic basket here and all that. So we'll do the board repairs for what needs to be done in here, and then we're going to move their electronics into this new shell and mesh here. Because their shell, their plastic bits here, kind of beat up before we got to it, and then of course we had to get a little forceful with it, so the shell is no longer really reusable. And then replacing the ribbon cable in here, I can definitely show people how to do it, but it's just going to be with everything that we're going to need to replace. We should just pop it into this. Let's see. Let's get power supply out. And let's work on that amp. Okay, we've got our amplifier. For the rest of this, what we'll do is we're going to take the rubber base off here and we're going to swap it with the other one, so that way the serial number still matches with the logic board and whatever the HomePod is going to show up as in any software that it appears in. So let's take that really quick. Oh, looks like they had already taken it off. You made it easy for me, thank you. And we'll go ahead and pop it on here before we forget. There's a little dimple in there. We'll just line that up with the base dimple. And there we go. And then we will get this fresh new basket. And then I've got some rings that we can use. But, what we're going to do now, before we do anything else, is now that we've got access to the amplifier, we're going to power this amp on, since we didn't get a chance to check it out before taking this apart. The reason, aside from the bit of goof that they made taking this apart to try to fix it themselves, they were trying to take it apart themselves to fix some DC offset issues, or what they were describing as loud popping. So let's check out what we can see here, confirm if we've got a DC offset issue or if we've just got some normal popping or maybe some other issue going on. Okay, so I don't actually see any offset. We've got about 1 millivolt there on the multimeter. Yeah, so this definitely doesn't have any signs of any death farts. And I don't see anything obviously wrong either. We might need to just reset this one and then play some music through it for a while and see if we can reproduce any issues before we make any conclusions. Let's go ahead and do that. Also gives us a good chance to check and see if all their other stuff here works. Okay, so this is their logic board and display here. Seems to be turning on fine. That's good. Oh, is it gonna boot up? That's not good. So that's not death farts. I guess just for posterity here, let's try a different display, just in case that's what's causing it, but that is unfortunately not death farts. That is blinking volume buttons, which is unfortunately not an issue that can be repaired. That's usually an issue with the logic board. More specifically, the software on it has gone kaput. We're not sure if it's a hardware issue or purely a software issue, but in any case, it's not something that anybody in the general public has found any way to fix yet. So let's just try a different display before we jump to completely assuming that here. Come on. I know you got it. I know you got it. Before you tried to fix it yourself, it wasn't even powering on. So we know it's not the amplifier because with my logic board, it powers on fine. Unfortunately, that means, unless there's anything obviously wrong here, I don't see anything wrong with this cable. No, this one's fine. No me gusta nada.
Sorry, Bobby. Trying to schedule an appointment for her.
Oh, nice.
They got one on Wednesday the 19th. 8:30, 10:10.
I go to the office on Wednesdays.
That's the only thing they have for like next month.
What's the latest time they got?
10:50.
Okay, yeah.
10:50?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, that's the only other thing that I can think to try is a different cable for the display. So that we're gonna go ahead and try that because I've got nothing else that we can really do for this here. Not until Apple lets us simply click the restore button. That'd be fantastic. Because boy, would it be nice if we could just restore the software on these, right? No. Apple said no. You can't do that. And it is certainly possible to plug this into your computer. Here is a cable here, which, if you might recall when we were ripping the rubber base off the bottom of our OG HomePod here, you can see some pins on the bottom there. And that goes through the ribbon cable that connects to the amplifier and logic board. But funny enough, it's got USB. So you can actually just solder a USB cable onto it if you want and plug that into your computer. Let's go ahead and do that now. Since honestly, there's nothing else that we can really do for this. Let me grab my computer. So here's how this works. We grab our bricked logic board, hook up a display, we'll plug that into our amplifier. Oh, hold on. We need to use my ribbon cable that's got the USB connection on it, so let's pop that on there. Alright, I'm just waiting for my MacBook to boot up because it crashed again today for no reason, other than it's a Mac. Close all this crap. Oh my goodness, it takes like 10 years for this thing to turn on, and it's like a 2020 with like an i5 or something like that. Yeah, 13-inch 2020, 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports. I love how that's like part of the model number. With a 2 GHz quad-core Intel Core i5. 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, and it still sucks ass. Okay, so we're gonna pull up Finder here when this thing decides to let me do what I want to do with it. Goodness. Okay. Connect our logic board. And then we've got our USB-C connection to our computer. We'll go ahead and plug that in, and then we'll go ahead and power this on. And for kicks, we'll pull up Apple Configurator too. Oh, look at that. HomePod. HomePod DFU mode. Interesting. And then if we go here, look at that. You've got HomePod showing up in Finder. You can, let's see, what can we do with this? There's not much we can really do with this. That's about it. Oh, here we go. So in Finder, we can see here with our HomePod connected, we've got the HomePod here under locations, and we've got this option to restore the HomePod. Let's see what happens when we click on that. Oh, the software for this HomePod is currently not available. Wow. Isn't that nice of Apple? Isn't that so courteous of them? So, okay, what if you download one of those OTAs from ipsw.me, huh? Well, I've been asked that like a million times. It's not possible. It says on the website there that you can't do that. They're not restorable. But somebody suggested they saw, hey, on IPSW.me under the OTAs that you can download for the HomePods, there is one that is currently being signed that does not have any prerequisite versions. I wonder if that can be restored. So let's go ahead and try that here and now. Where's finger? There's finger. We're gonna hold down. We're gonna hold down shift. We're gonna hold down shift while clicking restore, and that should. Is it shift? I can't remember. It's been so long since I've done this. Is it command? Control? Option? Option. So you hold down option and you click restore, and that's going to let you browse for the file that you want to restore from, instead of it just asking Apple, hey, give me the restore file for this, and Apple telling us no. So we're going to point to those IPSWs that people were asking us about from IPSW.me. I think that's in my downloads folder. Nope. That's the one thing, is like it feels okay. It's on my desktop. I feel like every time I try to find a file on here, it's impossible. Okay, so we've got our IPSW here from the IPSW.me 16.4 OS version for the HomePod. Let's go ahead and open that. And ouch, this HomePod could not be restored because the firmware file is not compatible. So, not sure if that's because this is still an OTA file, or if this is being blocked for some other reason, or if this is a hardware issue. And you can try this with anything that you want. I believe I have iRecovery on here. Yeah, so I've got iRecovery. Let me move this Krizak out of the way. I should really find a way to just screen share this. Okay, so I've got iRecovery -8-S is gonna get us into the shell, or not. What's the devices? Should print current device mode, run command on device. So we can run iRecovery-N, which is supposed to reboot the device into normal mode, which exits it out of a recovery loop. And if I send that, nothing happens. Ah. Yeah, there's just not much that you can do with these, unfortunately. One other thing that we can do is we can connect the microphone board, which I believe is where the rotation sensor is, which will allow us to put it either into DFU mode or boot it up into normal mode. It's if you didn't know, the HomePod will boot into DFU mode if you power it on with it flipped upside down, and the sensor that knows whether it's upside down or not is on this board. I'm 90% sure. So if we plug this into our logic board or our ribbon cable here and flip it upright, it shouldn't boot into DFU mode, but it's still going to boot into its flashing volume button state here. But we should be able to use iRecovery to at least get into the shell That won't get us any farther though, because whatever it's spitting out of the shell is not human readable. You need a special dongle that translates it for you, and unfortunately those are incredibly expensive and hard to come by, and I don't have my hands on one. So we need this board connected to the top right. So we'll go ahead and connect that. And then we're just going to make sure that this is sitting upright like that when we power this on, and that should allow it to not boot into DFU mode like we saw from Apple Configurator's status there on my MacBook, but it's still going to boot up into the flashing volume buttons mode, or recovery mode here. So let's see, there it is, there's our HomePod, and it says could not contact the iPhone software update server because you are not connected to the internet. I am in fact connected to the internet. It still says it's in DFU mode, so but in any case, that's about all that you can do with this until somebody cracks the software on this and finds a restorable IPSW software file, or Apple allows us to download it like is currently possible with all of their other products currently. The HomePod seems to still to this day be the only product in their entire lineup that you cannot, well, I guess technically AirPods as well, but aside from those two, there's nothing else there's everything else that you can download the software for to restore them, and this is for whatever reason a special exception, even though it's clearly possible. Well, unfortunately that's not good news for Sean. We're gonna leave this plugged in here overnight just in case it decides to start working again, but otherwise it seems like this one's gonna be a no fix. We'll give Sean the option of putting it back together with his parts, and not charging him anything other than just the return shipping to get it back to him. Or if he's got other broken ones, I always offer free repairs in trade for parts, whether they're working or not. So always like to try to work things out with people, especially considering circumstances like this where it should be fixable, and if Apple let us, it would be as easy as clicking a button here, but they don't let us do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it here. We've got a couple more to fix, but we're gonna save those for tomorrow. Yeah, if you guys want more info on this blinking volume buttons issue, or some of the software that I was talking about, or the errors, you can head over to my website, nixfix.com, head over to the common issues section, and the very first common issue is going to be the blinking volume buttons. And I've got some links here and there to and images on how you can connect USB to your bricked HomePod. And also I've got an active bounty. So if you are able to share a reproducible way of repairing the blinking volume buttons issue, then I will send you completely free a first generation Apple HomePod. And heck, I'll even color it any color that you want, even black, white, red, blue, orange, yellow, whatever it is you want, I'll make it happen for you. Gosh darn it, I really wish we could just fix this, and it should be that easy, but it's not. One thing that we can do also is, it may sound silly and useless, but please submit feedback to Apple's feedback website, asking them, just let them know, hey, we know it's not easy, but there are those of us out here capable of doing it, connecting these things to our computers and restoring the software on them. We need the permission from you to do that, so we can save literally these hundreds, if not thousands, of HomePods that are just simply stuck because of a software, like just just dead software. Unless they want to publicly acknowledge that this isn't a software issue and this is a widespread hardware issue. Let's hear it. I want to hear it. That's it for today. Subscribe and stay tuned for tomorrow. We've got some more HomePods to hopefully get fixed up here with hopefully some more repairable issues. Otherwise, we're going to leave this plugged in overnight and maybe it'll snap out of it. But in any case, we will update you guys here on the live stream again tomorrow. So, hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch